This is the Premier Garden Show. And here is your host, Anthony Faulkner.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another brand new episode of the Premier Garden Show. A first for the Premier Garden Show. We are switching to not only audio, but to video. So I have a fantastic guest to kind of start off our video episodes, Lee. So Lee, can you just tell us who you are, what you do, kind of, and where you're from?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, firstly, thanks so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. So my name is Lee. I'm also called the Skinny Jean Gardener, and probably for about 13 years now, I've been concentrating on children's gardening and getting kids excited about gardening and getting parents involved and also schools as well. And I'm over here in a little bit away from you, but over in Essex and in the UK. So yeah, it's a little bit cold at the moment, but we'll take it. We'll take a little bit of coldness.
Yeah, I suppose the weather over here is kind of, we just had a few heavy showers there this evening.
Yeah.
So I think it's to pick up over here from tomorrow as well. So then what's the reason behind the name, the Skinny Jean Garden?
Yeah, everyone keeps asking me. I mean, it's one of the questions that I really need to come up with a better answer for, to be honest with you. But the main reason is because I wear skinny jeans while I garden. But the actual name came from I don't know if you remember a program called the Big Allotment Challenge. Do you remember that?
No, was that BBC maybe?
Yeah, it was a good while ago. It was a really great program anyway. Anyway, the basic story comes from I went to go and audition for that program. Never got on at the time because I was 6 months into gardening and had no idea. So no wonder they didn't have me. But at the time we were auditioning and someone went, "Oh, you should be called the Skinny Jean Gardener." Only because I was wearing skinny jeans and it was fashionable maybe 12, 13 years ago to wear skinny jeans. And that is basically how the story comes about. Now, when I go into schools and speak to them, they don't understand what skinny jeans really are because it's a little bit unfashionable to wear them. And people have asked me whether I'd move on to baggy jeans, but I just couldn't do it. So we've got to stick with it now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think the Baggy Jean Gardener has the same kind of ring to it.
No, it's not got the same ring to it. One thing I have started to do now I'm feeling a little bit freer from all of that sort of brand stuff, is especially wearing shorts a little bit more. Like I spent many years, probably should have been called the Sweaty Jean Gardener, just because it can get a little bit hot in the summer now, can't it? So yeah, I've sort of branched out to shorts, and I don't mind. I really don't.
So I suppose, where did your journey kind of begin then? What did you say? Was it 2013? Is it, or roughly?
Yeah, so it's probably it was 2013 that I actually got started in gardening, and the main reason was that me and my brother, who we just missed each other. So I moved out of our family home away from mum and dad, and I was in like my mid-20s, and my brother sort of missed me a little bit. We don't miss each other so much now. We spend far too much time with each other, but we missed each other, and we wanted to try and do something that we both had no knowledge of and that we could both learn together. Because one thing that you get from brothers is that you can be very competitive, and if someone knows more at the start, then it sort of ruins the experience. So we wanted to learn something together. At one point we decided we might start a crazy golf team and do that. That never worked out. We thought it might be in a band. I've always wanted to be in a band, but still can't play the guitar, so that didn't work out. And then we got an allotment. We were lucky enough to have half an allotment given to us that we could start with, and yeah, that's really where it started, on an allotment. We just had such a good time growing together. We had no idea what we were doing. We literally were just throwing potato seeds in the ground, like anything. We're just throwing it in, hoping for the best. We ended up with our very own allotment in the end, which was amazing. And that just whole excitement about bringing people together, bringing us together as brothers and family, but also bringing friends together. Just really, I don't know, just really got me excited, to be honest with you, about growing. And for me, I love growing vegetables, but it's probably about bringing people together around gardening that I love the most, because it's such a beautiful thing that everyone can learn. Like, I honestly, when I was 20, I think I must have been about 24, 25 years old, I honestly thought potatoes grew on trees. And I said this the other day, and people laughed and think it's a joke, but I had no idea at that age how anything was grown. Had never really thought about it or even looked into it. And so everything that I did from that point was like magic, and that's how I got started. So yeah, when you start seeing these tomatoes pop out, these chilies, and the potatoes, which never grew on a tree in the end, it turns out, um, it was just magic, and I love that, and I really hold on to that memory even now. So that's how I got started, and I've loved it ever since.
And I suppose growing up or in your early days, was there anyone you maybe have looked at, maybe on TV, or give you that bit of inspiration?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I never did any gardening when I was younger, and so we used to watch a lot of. Uh, we used to watch TV, but like people like, and I'm lucky enough to get work with him now. But people like Jamie Oliver was someone we used to watch quite a bit, and I suppose as I got into my career, I've sort of mirrored that a little bit, or I've always wanted to mirror that sort of energy around what he does for cooking, and always wanted to put that into gardening. Um, so people like him sort of inspired me as I move on in my career. But I never did any gardening when I was younger, so as I never had that. I love speaking to people, and I do a podcast, or I have done a podcast myself. I've just finished uh, that whole season, but I love speaking to people, and the stories that they start with is always my grandma or my mum and dad used to garden with me outside, and it's not because I had a bad childhood, because I had a wonderful childhood doing stuff, but we just never gardened, and we just never got outside. So when I hit my mid-20s and found that magic that gardening can bring, um, yeah, I felt like I'd missed out a little bit. And that's why I now try and get children and parents doing it, because I think that it's really, really important that they feel that magic and that bond that you can build through gardening.
Yeah, I think the majority of most of the people I've had on guests would have, grown up around the world of gardening. So, they
Yeah.
would have probably some of them would have inspiration from people they know, or if it comes to garden design, and some of them would be kind of family members, brothers or fathers or grandfathers, and that's how they kind of would have got their inspiration. But as you said, like growing up, it wasn't something, I suppose, as you were growing up that you wanted to kind of be, really.
It just was no, it just wasn't that thing. And in our family, like my granddad is now 83 years old, and he doesn't garden too much now, but he still has this mindset of that if he puts the most powerful weed killer down on the ground to get rid of the weeds, maybe and it kills half the grass, that's still in his mindset. So that was sort of how gardening was mentioned throughout our childhood. Obviously, luckily, over the time, I've sort of found something a bit different than the most powerful weed killer in the world.
Yeah, and I also see you kind of work with kids. What got you involved in working with kids, and I suppose how important is it that we
Yeah.
kind of introduce our kids to gardening?
Yeah, it really is important. I think that I was lucky enough to feature on a program called Blue Peter, which was a children's program over
I remember it
here,
well.
and yeah, and from that point, and then having my daughter, which is probably the biggest moment for me, realizing that connection that gardening can bring. Uh, I've That's really where my career set off. Like Olive, my daughter, started gardening when she was about 3 months old. Like she was so tiny, and I remember the day that my wife went out for the day and left me in charge, which was quite a big thing. as a young dad. And we went out into the garden. I remember just pouring a few little wildflower seeds on Olive's hand, and we sprinkled them over the soil. And I always tell that story about that's how she started gardening at that age. And those flowers grew into something that we actually used at my brother's wedding, which was beautiful as well. But literally from that moment and going through the years, we've spent so much time outside, and it really has strengthened our bond as father and daughter. And I think that's so important. And I think that in the days where screens are becoming more and more part of children's lives, and adults as well, having that time away from them, away from technology outside, can really bring you together. So literally from my experiences that I have with Olive, I just want to try and show parents that you can do this no matter what space you've got. And not only can you grow plants, but you can actually grow your family bond outside. I think that's so beautiful. So Olive was really that catalyst to push me forwards into children's gardening and really get that message out there. And we've had amazing time together. She's 10 now, which is just absolutely wild. And it's so different to how it used to be. I remember when she was like 1, 2 years old, and we made a fairy garden together just out of a little pot. And then sometimes we grew some strawberries. I remember, or I always tell whenever I'm on stage, that she loves strawberries. Like honestly, this is her favourite thing to grow. And before I had her, I grew loads and loads of strawberries. And then she got to 2 years of age, we started 2, 3 years of age, we started to grow less strawberries. And I always remember coming down the end of the garden, and she just had all this red all over her face, and she'd been eating all of the strawberries from the strawberry bed. And that was beautiful. But I always say when I'm on stage that when we realised she was doing that, we put barbed wire around the strawberry bed to stop her coming near it. And obviously, I'm joking. And actually, what we really did, we get some strange looks when I say that. But what we actually did, we actually brought the strawberry bed lower so she could get involved more. And she still grows strawberries now, which I absolutely love. And that's when she was younger. And now we're actually, we're just coming into the holidays now, and she's gonna help me throughout the 6 weeks holiday redesign a whole area of our garden and be part of it. And I'm so excited about the memories we're going to make from that, because when we look back at the memories we've made before, it's just a lovely thing to do. So yeah, I think Olive being part of that garden journey has been so important for everything I've done.
What is school gardening success? I see that up on your...
Yeah, school garden success is something. So as well as obviously bringing parents and children together, I'm very lucky that I've got a garden this size. Obviously, in 2020, people that had gardens were so lucky to be able to get outside and spend time outside and connect that way. But going into schools, as I do quite often, I know that maybe in my early days of my career, maybe I was a bit blinded by the fact that, everyone's got a garden, everyone can do stuff and be outside. But actually, being able to travel around the country and go to different schools and different areas, it's not like that. And some children have no outdoor space, just have a windowsill. And so going around saying everyone can be a gardener, actually, it's more difficult for some people. And so the reason I mention that is because schools have such an important role to play in getting children outside growing, because of that reason, because there are children that have no space at home, or don't do any gardening with their parents at home as well. So I've done 2 tours now. I've done 2 big tours around the country where we get 10,000 children gardening. And the one that I did in 2020, early 2020, before everything kicked off, obviously, was the catalyst to start school garden success. Because one of the biggest things I realised was, again, very easy to say we should get gardening in the schools. The practical side of that is very different, and the direction for teachers is very different as well, because we've got a load of teachers that have no idea how to garden either, and I'm just expecting them to teach their kids. So we created School Garden Success to direct teachers basically and help them out. And in fact, I've not actually told anyone this, but I'll tell you about it. But we have charged for that program over the last 4 or 5 years now, and coming in September, we're actually going to make that a package free for teachers, because we've managed to get to a stage where we're able to branch out to more schools and make it easier for us and for them to do that. So yeah, School Garden Success is something I feel really passionate about, because it just helps teachers in a simple way, which I think is very, very important.
And that's something we don't really have over here. And I've been kind of saying it for years, that it should be introduced into our schools in Ireland. I haven't seen it. It's not something kids kind of can experience. So kind of what you're doing there is kind of something that, I'd love to kind of, try and introduce into schools around here, because it is very important for our kids to be involved. Because we're literally only kind of like, I suppose, as going to school, it's always the basics, your English, your maths, your history,
Mm-hmm.
and it was never anything there for gardening, and it is very important for kids to kind of be introduced, because there's a lot of them spend so much time on social media.
Yeah,
and even gone away from books as much. Our kids have kind of gone away from books even too. Like, it's shocking.
Yeah.
Like, where we're
It's
gone.
it's a real tough one, isn't it? Because I think just talking about gardening within schools and growing food in schools, if we want to get a healthy, there's no doubt we're all more unhealthy than we've ever been, probably. I think if we want to get a generation more healthy for the future, then getting them growing in schools and getting them learning that at an early stage is very, very important. On the technology side, a really difficult one to weigh up, because a lot of my work is through technology and podcasts and visuals and YouTube and all that sort of thing. And at the same time, I'm trying to tell people to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. So it's a real hard one. Throughout my career, it really is a difficult one for me to think about. I think technology is really important for children to learn, because I actually think at the end of the day, when they do get a career, technology is going to play a big part in it. I just think that I think we just need to think about balance is the thing. Technology and being outdoor, we just have to have the right balance, of which sometimes, look, I fail at as a father. Olive has just got into video games and all that sort of thing. I've learnt now that if we're going to spend time outdoors, I have to sort of say, yeah, you can go on your computer game a little bit afterwards to sort of entice her. And she tries to say, oh, I'll go on my computer game first and then I'll go outdoors. And I think, no. I know I played that game. I know, no way. But it is about balance. And I think that, we do still have to let kids on technology, but I mean, we're bad as adults as well, aren't we? Like sometimes we can sit scrolling through stuff and miss out on memories already. So yeah, balance is the thing for that. But yeah, schools have a big part to play in that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and then I suppose extreme gardening. I was kind of looking up that.
Yeah.
I kind of got the vibe of, I don't know, magic shows
Yeah.
and stuff. It looks fun.
It's brilliant. It's funny you mentioned magic, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But I love to add a lot of entertainment into the education, because I want to try and capture children's attention and educate them without them really knowing, if I'm honest with you. I think that's really important. It's so sometimes you watch talks to kids and it can be so boring. I'm just like, let's throw a confetti cannon in there. Let's skydive while we're sowing sunflowers. Do you know what I mean? Like, I bet that's an extreme, but extreme gardening comes from that, because I watch, again, talking about Olive quite a lot today, but watching and spending time with her and seeing what she watches on YouTube, for instance, when we do spend time looking at YouTube, it's things like Mr. Beast. Have you heard of Mr. Beast before? Yeah, it's like it just captures their attention, and extreme gardening came off of that because I thought, why can't we do gardening like a Mr. Beast and blend them two things together? And now I do a theatre show where I do skydive while sowing sunflowers. We shoot potatoes out of cannons, and we have a hedgehog that drives around on a car. And what else do we do? So much. There's a lot of there's a lot of strange looks from some parents sometimes, but kids love it, and that's the thing, right? And when you talk about, I've literally next year I'm bringing out a new show. You talked about magic a minute ago, and look, I'm no Paul Daniels, but we're adding magic into that's a very old reference to Paul Daniels, isn't it? But anyway, I'm adding magic to gardening, and I'm actually coming up, and I'm writing a show right now that brings them two things together. For a few reasons, because as I said right at the start when we first started speaking, that feeling that I had, that magic feeling I had from gardening, and how I want to bring that to kids. That's why I'm blending them two things together. That and the equipment to take around with me around the country to skydive while sowing sunflowers is so big that I need I need another show that's maybe a little bit smaller that I can take around. But yeah, I love doing that sort of thing because it is memorable. And one of the things that I do talk about a lot is making those memories. And I go around the country, and recently I visited 10,000 children again, and some of them children remember me from 2020 when I did this entertainment show thing with them, and they were in year one back then. Now they're in year six, and they're leaving school, and they remember that moment. And that's what I want to do. And if anything, if we can just bring a little bit um, of excitement into their lives, maybe that will inspire them to do more when they get home or when I leave the school with their teachers to do a little bit more. So all of that extreme garden and entertainment and magic I like to bring to the stage.
Yeah, it sounds kind of exciting. I kind of was looking at it there this evening, and I kind of said, so that's a great way of kind of getting our kids involved and learning. Because, as you said, sometimes some of these kind of things they talk about, or if they bring someone into the school that maybe talks a little bit about gardening, it can be very, it's very hard to kind of keep them focused.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I went to a school the other day and did the show there, and I just love looking at the teachers' faces because they just expect a little plant up person to stand up on stage and plant a few bits up and that, but I'm doing all sorts on stage and stuff with them. And I did a show earlier in the year, and I remember afterwards a parent come up to me, a grandparent actually, and said that their grandson, they sat down and thought the grandson would last about 5 minutes and then get bored and run away, and they'd have to go and do something else. But he actually sat down for the whole hour show and enjoyed it, and was just so just amazed. And hopefully, amongst all that amazement, a little bit of education went in there somewhere, a little bit about maybe some pollination or bees, and maybe how maybe not that potatoes grow on trees, maybe that went into their mind or something. Do you know what I mean? If they took anything away from my show, as long as they learnt that, that's a winner. But yeah, that's the idea of it, to be honest with you, and I love doing it as well. I love performing, doing that sort of stuff.
So I suppose you have been kind of on a few TV programs. You mentioned there Blue Peter, and I think it was the other one was BBC Teach. Was that?
Yeah, so I've done a bit there as well. Yeah,
Yeah. So you've kind of been around the whole TV kind of circuit, but you've also wrote a book.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, well done. Yeah. I have. Yeah, one of my things that I brought out again. The 2020 was a busy year, but I brought it out then, which is probably good timing, really, considering how much time people spent in their gardens. But I brought a book out with all the ideas that I'd built up over the years, all my successful ideas, that I'd done with my daughter and my wife and spent time in the garden. Just loads of different gardening makes that I know work and are cost effective as well. Because sometimes you buy books and you pick an idea out of it, and the next thing you're spending a ridiculous amount of money trying to create that idea. And what I wanted to do was have a book where you could happily pass it over to children. They'd flick through it, pick the idea, and you'd have some of the stuff in your recycling bin. Like, just be able to pull it out and make something from it. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed putting that book together. What I didn't know as a first-time author is you're actually supposed to hold back some of your best ideas for the second book. And fortunately, I chucked all my best ones, in the first book. But yeah, I'm really proud of it. And also, like, I think Olive was she 5 then? She must have been. Yeah, she must have been 5. And looking back on that book, it's amazing how she's grown up. But everyone's like, always asks what the success of that book was. And for me personally, money. Obviously, it was money. It wasn't money. I'm joking. If you're an author, you'll know there's no money in it. But the best part, the biggest success from that book was one night sitting down, ready for Olive to go to bed, looking through some books to read, and she said, "Dad, can we sit and read our book?" And it was just amazing just to sit there, spend time with her, flicking through this book and seeing everything we'd created, and it really filled my heart that night. So yeah, so I'm really proud of that book, and I really love it. I need to talk about it more. I'm a terrible salesman, I've been told by my wife, because I love creating stuff and getting it out there, but actually trying to sell it, I'm terrible at it. But I should talk about it a lot more. I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you.
Yeah, so I suppose continuing with the kids, and maybe some of the listeners have kids. Can you probably give what some kind of tips on kind of getting your child involved and what they should grow?
Yeah,
and what's the easiest for kids to kind of grow?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I suppose I want to be some sort of scientist or doctor or something, but I try to work out how I could easily put some ideas together for parents very easily. I wrote down my 3 pillars of children's gardening to make it sound very fancy, but it's just 3 different ways to get kids gardening, really. But my 3 pillars are grow your own, wildlife, and fun. And if you've got each of those in your life, then you've succeeded at children's gardening. So if we look at like grow your own, obviously growing your own food is such a magic way to get kids started, and probably the best way, I personally think. And I'm always asked what's the best thing to get kids growing, and my answer is not really that simple. It's basically whatever they love to eat, because things like radishes are very fast to grow, but I still am yet to meet a child that loves a radish. Um, and like me, when I first started gardening, I grew loads and loads of onions. I don't even like onions, and so I didn't care about them. I don't know why I grew so many. So what you need to do, especially around grow your own, is look at what kids love to eat and what they're going to care about. What are they going to come back from school and go and water and look after and really get excited about? And if you're just starting out, I always say start with 3 plants, or maybe start with 2 plants and a seed packet, and just make it really simple for you to get started. And then if we look at wildlife is another way that we can really look after our planet, because we build over everything nowadays, don't we? So let's try and help them out along the way. So if we look at helping hedgehogs or frogs come into your garden, maybe making a little frog pond out of a washing up bowl is a nice way just to get started at least. Making a hedgehog home would be a really nice idea, or just feeding the birds is a good way. It's like, I remember, I'm going a bit of a tangent, I'm sorry, but I remember going back to memories, is that me and Olive fed the birds, and then I don't know what I got delivered, but I had a massive box delivered of something in it, and I cut like a little hole out the front of it, like almost like a post box hole out the front, and we both got into this box and put it over the top of ourselves, like a bird hide, and just sat and waited for the birds to come down. And I think she was only about, maybe she was 3 or 4 years old, and bless her, she sat for about a half hour waiting for the birds to come down. But it was an amazing experience. So wildlife is very, very important as well. You don't have to sit inside a box to experience that. And then finally, fun. So, like, grow your own is important. There's education there. Wildlife, there's education there. But we've got to have those fun aspects in the garden. And I say things like a mud kitchen is a really great way for children, something for children to have outside, because it means that they can have like a washing up bowl. Like we made one out of just some pallets, but you can have a washing up bowl, some old saucepans and pots and pans and stuff, just for them to play with. And it's important because it gets them outside for starters. But also, as a parent, it means that when you have to do them boring jobs, such as weeding or maybe just cutting the grass, it means the kids are out there still enjoying time together, still enjoying being outside together, but they've got their own little area that they can mess around with. And that's also another good point, as well as those 3 pillars of kids gardening. Also, giving children their own space, whatever you're doing, give them their own area. If you're lucky enough that you can just corner off a metre squared area that they can call their own, then that is an amazing way for them to learn like a little bit of a sense of responsibility and care for that patch. And maybe it doesn't feel so overwhelming for them to have a whole garden to look after. Just having that little area is really, really important. There's a few ideas amongst there.
Yeah, there's lots of kind of good ideas. Kind of, as you said, it is very important to kind of incorporate, even when we're outside, kind of, as you said, weeding or cutting the grass. It's important then that the kids are doing something out there as well, and
Yeah,
we kind of enjoy our space. I know sometimes we don't get the weather to do it, but when we have the weather, it's important to be out there and use it as much as we can. So, what does Lee, the skinny jean gardener, like to do on his days away from gardening?
yeah,
What what helps you relax
this is a really
gardening?
tough question. It's actually a question, Anthony, that I've been asking myself a lot. Without making this sound like some sort of therapy session, it's a question I've been asking myself a lot recently because I spend a lot of time gardening, and like I garden for work, and I also garden as a hobby. And recently, to give myself a little bit more time and concentrate on other bits of my work, and just to free up some time, I said, right, I'm going to stop doing my podcast for a little bit, as much as I love it. So it frees me up for some time to do some other hobbies. And I have now filled that time with a community garden that I'm started with some people. And so yeah, it's not ideal. Do you know what? Like I do love gardening. I love spending time with my family. And I love motor racing as well. Is another thing that I do enjoy. So going to motor racing with my dad and spending time with him and building them memories with him is really important to me. But yeah, gardening is just something. It's just taken over. It's terrible, really, isn't it? I just really and also it makes me feel really boring because I'm like, I wish when I hear people and I'm like speaking to people and they've got all these things they're doing, and I've just got gardening. I'm like, I really need to find another hobby. Like, I really need to find something else. Um, but I just love it so much. I love it too much. I really do.
You're the same as me. I kind of, uh, on days off, even I kind of drag people into a garden center.
Oh yeah,
You know,
exactly.
it's you can never switch off from it.
No, you really don't. I've had the morning. I was off this morning actually. I went to 2 garden centres in that time. In that time, just because you know, it's just good to be around plants, and it makes me feel good. And whether I'm with people or just alone, it's just a good experience. It just really helps the mind, doesn't it? Sometimes you need that time alone as well outside, which is important. Just to think about stuff, and then obviously I'm working on different projects around children's garden and around the country and touring and stuff as well. So yeah, it's all good. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it, but I probably do need to find another hobby somewhere. I'll think about it.
Ch- chess.
Maybe not chess. It's so difficult. I've been trying to learn the guitar now for 10 years. Like I said earlier, I want to be in a band. I've been trying to learn the guitar now for 10 years. And now Olive has just said she wants to start to learn to do it. And now for the last 6 weeks, we've been trying to do it. And the gardening just gets in the way. It just keeps getting in the way of it. But it's lovely. Do you know what I mean? It's all good.
So going forward, then, how would you like, or what would you like to see in the future? Maybe more to incorporate our kids around gardening.
Yeah,
Anything you could see? Anything you could see, like you'd like to see, kind of be done more?
I'd like it to be part of school life a lot more. I think that's a really important part of my mission, is to try and really direct that a lot more. And also a thing that I want to do is just continue to come up with big projects that can inspire families and schools at the same time. So one thing that I'm sort of manifesting at the moment, off the back of our 10,000 children tour that we've just done, is we want to take it into a football stadium and get the whole place full of kids getting excited about gardening. I've just literally gone to watch Ed Sheeran at a football stadium, and I thought this would be good if I could do something like this. But but we might be a few years off of that. Just a really big event that can get as many teachers inspired at once. Because one of the things that I did is I spent a whole week going and visiting and speaking to 30 schools and getting these 10,000 children excited about gardening. But what I really need to do, and what has been learnt, the lesson off the back of that, is that we actually need to inspire 10,000 teachers and children at the same time, getting a bigger impact through our events that we do. So that's a really big thing that I'm working on. Again, launching in September is a Skinny Jean Gardener badge to sort of really start to reward children, because they honestly, the kids that I get to see and what they're doing either at home or at school, they need to be rewarded for that, and I feel like they need to feel like something from that they've done well. So that's launching in September as well, and yeah, a bit of magic as well coming up, obviously, as I sort of teased earlier on. So there's lots of things going on, and I just love being able to do this sort of stuff and meet the teachers and the parents and kids that I get to speak to and hear their stories as well, and they all inspire me to do more and get out there. So
that's like a Blue Peter badge.
it's very similar to a Blue Peter badge, but it's really specific on gardening. And I think, over the years, I think we probably need something like that that can really really reward the children, because I get to see their passion so much and their excitement when I come into their schools, and I don't. The power of a badge is just ridiculous. Like, I think it's so. Like, even at the moment, I give stickers out to when I do these events and stuff, and kids get so excited about a sticker. And to bring a badge, honestly, stickers are the one. But to bring a badge out that also, like, the idea of that badge, it was again similar to BP badges, but there's some benefits from that and from our industry as well, that can bring the horticulture industry together, is really important, and also angle towards getting people into careers within our industry as well is something that I'm working pretty hard on, because I get to speak to so many primary school children that don't even know that when they move into secondary school and move into a career, that this industry is sitting there ready to go. I never knew there was a horticulture industry. I honestly thought that it was just something your nan and granddad did when in retirement. I never knew what an incredible world of horticulture we've got here. And I know I'm talking a lot, I'm really sorry, but literally I went on a tour around a nursery the other day, and I was just amazed that they plant up these seeds and plant up these small plants, and how they're grown in these massive polytunnels, and the whole process of going from that tiny plant to your actual store, your garden centre where you buy them. And I was blown away by it. And I just want to try and show children that this is how these plants get on there. This is how it happens. And there's a whole industry sitting there that you can go into, feel amazing by, and in general, there's a few bad apples, but in general, it's such a beautiful industry to be part of. And I want to try and get that message out there to them.
Yeah, and then finally, I suppose you just mentioned some of your projects going forward. So finally, then that kind of covers that. So where can listeners find out more information about you? And I know you have a fantastic website there to access as well. So yeah, where can my listeners kind of find out more info?
There's not. Yeah, but yeah, good point. Oh, really? I need you as my agent, really, don't I? Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if you type in Skinny Jean Gardener on whatever social or website or Google, wherever you choose to go on, there's not many Skinny Jean Gardeners about. You'll find me. And one thing that I'm working on pretty hard at the moment is my YouTube channel, of which I want to try and bring out more content on there. I'm really enjoying creating videos over there, and I want to build that up over the next couple of years. So you can see a lot of what I get up to on there, and some of the successes of school stuff and the failures of community gardens and all sorts over there. So yeah, type in Skinny Jean Gardener and you'll find me.
Yeah, so that's about it. Lee, thanks so much for kind of taking the time out from your, I don't know, is it a potting shed?
Sort of a potting shed, isn't it? It's, if I'm honest with you, it's where I'm allowed to keep all of my toys. I don't know what as I start to approach 40, I've started to get into collectibles and toys and all these sort of weird and wonderful things. So it's a shed of which I'm allowed to keep my toys in. Which, if you listen to us on the podcast, sounds terrible, but it looks alright. In visual wise, it's lovely.
Yeah, and here's me worrying about getting the backdrop from my podcast. I maybe just think of putting a few shelves up and put some clutter.
That's my collectibles you're talking about there, clutter. I don't wait. I just want to show you something. I'll just show you something here. That's my horticultural hero. That's me on the front of a magazine. I mean, on podcast terms, you can't hear this, but it's me on the front. There I am on the front of Gardens Illustrated. Horticultural hero. I always put that there, Anthony, to remind me that I'm somebody's hero. Maybe not in this household, but at least in this office.
And a lovely gold jazzy jacket.
And the gold jacket is always about. Yeah, you can't leave that alone. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lee, look, it has been an absolute pleasure to listen to you. I could absolutely listen to you forever. It's been a pleasure that you took the time out to come on and have a bit of a chat. And I'm kind of starting off in this whole venture with YouTube and creation of videos. So I'm literally in the early stages, because I did notice when you're doing the audio podcasts, you can just sit there and whatever you want and record. So it's kind of, it's a new venture for me to kind of, come up with this way of doing it. And a lot of people would say, oh yeah, go green screen and that. But I'm just looking at your kind of background and your kind of stuff there. Like, there's so much there that it seems so natural of a kind of a backdrop to have than, something that's not really natural.
Yeah, a little bit behind the scenes, really, if I'm honest with you. So this shed is from a project that I was doing. That I was travelling around with a shed for some kids thing, and then we stopped using it. And the reason, this is actually in a bigger office than what you see here. The reason I have the shed is because I sometimes, when I'm in the middle of doing events and running around and doing shows and stuff, my office is a mess. Behind this shed, it's a mess, right? But always, whenever you see me, I always got this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on these shelves, but it always just looks fine, and I feel a little bit tidier when I'm just sat in this little bit here. Behind the shed, mess. Honestly,
Yeah. So look,
it's not
look,
really
it's
the
been
ending you want. That's not the ending you want for a podcast, but just to that's behind the scenes for you.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and look, I look forward to seeing what you get up to next, and best of luck with your next bit of magic show, come gardening show, come
Yes.
bit of everything.
Who knows what's
so
going
look,
to be in it? Yeah.
yeah. So look, thanks again for coming on, Lee.
Thanks so much for having me.
So guys, welcome to the closing out of this week's fantastic first ever video episode of the Premier Garden Show. Who better than that man, Lee Connelly, the skinny jean gardener, to literally be our first ever video guest on the Premier Garden Show. Thank you again, Lee, for coming on and giving us a little bit of an insight into all you do. It was a very, very enjoyable episode to record. I know literally as we finished recording, we had a few technical issues, and thank God they weren't, there was no effect to our episode. So again, Lee, thanks again for coming on and being our first. And please keep in touch with the Premier Garden Show, and I can't wait to see all you do in the future. And who knows, you might come back on, or I could join you on your podcast episode. So guys, we move on. Next week we have another guest on the Premier Garden Show, and I'm delighted to say Grow with Joe is on next week on the Premier Garden Show. And guys, yes, it will get better. We are literally in the transformation of moving to video. So it is going to take a little bit of time to get used to all this and figure out how to best, I suppose, put together these video episodes. And look, it will get better. So thanks again for standing beside us and letting us grow as one with the Premier Garden Show. So as I said, yeah, Grow with Joe is on next week. And then I have, I'm taking, I suppose, a different kind of episode of the Premier Garden Show. I am going to be joining on with another podcast episode, and that is the Plant Pod. I'm looking forward to having a bit of a chat, all things gardening with them. They had one of my guests that I had on a couple of weeks ago, Laura MacArthur. They had her on their podcast this week, so I'm looking forward to, I suppose, integrating with them for an episode and seeing how that goes. And then we'll move on to the first week in August, and that means only one thing, and that is our monthly episode with Kieran Burke, Johnstown Garden Centre's very own Kieran Burke will be coming back on to do his monthly podcast with myself, and as well that will be done through video. So that's going to be something to, I suppose, look forward to. And you never know, with the monthly episodes of the Premier Garden Show with me and Kieran, we might venture down the route of a live Facebook episode of it, so that we can let our listeners get involved with the show. So guys, that's everything for this week. Thanks again for tuning in to the Premier Garden Show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, and also joining us and following us on our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook. Just search the Premier Garden Show, and also now on YouTube, the same. Just search the Premier Garden Show, and please do subscribe to the Premier Garden Show on YouTube, and you will catch this episode in audio and video across all our platforms. Again, guys, thanks for everything you do. Please do look after yourselves, look after everyone around you, and stay safe. And as I always say, keep your hands in the dirt and your heart in nature. Till the next time on the Premier Garden Show.
Thanks for listening to the Premier Garden Show, and we will see you in the next episode. Be sure to like, share and subscribe, and join all our social media.
Dreaming of having the perfect garden? Gardena has everything you need, from gardening tools, watering systems and pumps to robotics, soil cultivation, and tree and shrub care. See the complete range at gardena.com and realize your gardening dreams. Gardena.